I am Yaroslav. The Ukrainians call me Yaka, the Americans call me English. English, you call me Jerry. Okay, so we've broken the severity and the seriousness with a little levity. Welcome to the Ukrainian Cultural Center. I am the manager here. We opened in 1988. Somebody must think that I'm really important about it. We opened in 1988. Our parishioners and our ancestors and our dads and our grandfathers wanted a place to hold Ukrainian events, weddings, christenings, graduations. Today, we have weddings, christenings, quinceañeras, repasts. So we serve the whole community. We are not just a Ukrainian facility. Everybody that comes here loves this place. I want to thank the churches, St. Nicholas Cathedral, St. Vladimir and Olga, Volodymyr and Olga, and St. Vladimir Orthodox Church. They are all on Oakley Boulevard. 3 Ukrainian churches, 1 Ukrainian cultural center. And guess who gets all the work? Me. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'd like to now represent State Rep William Ramirez. Also, I want to thank, because I just saw him out of the corner of my eye, our alderman. He has actually been helping all the groups here in Ukrainian Village to get work done that we couldn't get done before. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today to be with you all, to really let you know that the 4th District, which I'm the state representative, is really excited about announcing the state-designated cultural district in Ukrainian Village. So thank you for all the work that has been put into the project, the programs, the services. And I wanted to let you know that although in Illinois we have so much of a diverse population, before this bill, before we had the state-designated cultural districts, we weren't really taking fully advantage of the beauty and the diversity of our communities. And I can tell you, before I became a state representative, I was the director of the Welcoming Centers. And that's how I met so many of you through my work in the Welcoming Centers and through your work with the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. And the goal of those programs are really to make sure that we have resettlement programs that are in coordination with the state and the federal and the city government, and that we can resettle communities in a way that is just and beautiful and really speaks to the diversity of our community and welcomes our communities. And that's how I was able to meet the Ukrainian community many years before I became the state representative. And so when I became the state representative, one of the first things we talked about was this piece of legislation and how we can take advantage. And I'll ask our Congresswoman Delia Ramirez and our Senator to talk a little bit more about the origins of the state-designated cultural districts. But I do want to say that it is an important tool in making sure that we are fighting against displacement. One of the things that are happening in many of our communities in West Town, in Ukrainian Village, in Humboldt Park, and Hermosa, where I represent, is high levels of displacement. And so this is one tool in the toolbox of how we fight displacement, how we make sure we're welcoming our communities, and we make sure that we're doing it in a way that's affordable, so communities get to stay and take advantage of the beautiful city that they've built. As was mentioned, this community has been here for many, many years and decades. And we want to make sure that generations of Ukrainians are able to grow up in the community, take advantage of all the wonderful programs and services that the community has built. And that's what this is really about. This milestone is the result of the grassroots advocacy and legislative leadership that our legislators and our communities have created to make this recognition possible. And this designation brings increased visibility, access to resources, and long-term support to this vibrant neighborhood. We look forward to gathering again later this year for a more formal ribbon cutting. I want to thank all our partners who made this possible. I'm proud to stand with you and proud to represent this district. With that, I do want to introduce our Congresswoman Delia, who was
It is so good to be with all of you this morning. And I have to tell you, every time I come into the Ukrainian Cultural Center, I know Mariya heard me say this last time I did a town hall here a couple months ago, I get the butterflies. Some of you know that I wear a butterfly pretty much every day in one way or another, with a lot of symbolism about community and inclusion. But what I'm talking about is like some physical butterflies. You see, 8 years ago, on August 28th, not only do you end up doing quinceañeras and all sorts of celebrations and weddings here, you also rent space, and sometimes you rent space for hopeful people who one day want to be a state representative and maybe one day a congressperson. But on the second floor, 8 years ago, I launched my campaign to be the state representative that represented this community. Today, I get to serve and advocate for the Ukrainian community in Congress. So this place is very special to me. It's part of my great story of public service in one office. I'm so good to be with all of you today, and I want to start by saying that it is my deepest gratitude for all of the work that the Ukrainian Cultural Center is doing every single day, and for hosting us today for such a special announcement. As the broad coalition that is here celebrating the announcements of Ukrainian Village's recognition as a cultural district, including the many cultural organizations like Self-Reliance Association, the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America, Illinois Division, and my colleagues who made today possible. I want to again know the colleagues that are here with me today who have been fighting to ensure that we preserve the culture and the beautiful diversity that we have here in the city of Chicago, who was one of my chief co-sponsors in the Senate, Senator Omar Aquino, who's also the senator here. You're here with us. My sister, who after I decided to step down as state rep and run for Congress, ran to represent this community and has continued to ensure that there's resources for state designated cultural districts, and you just heard from her, Lilia Jimenez. The alderman here, the alderman of the 36th Ward, Alderman Leo Villegas. Diana Alfaro, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, who we've been working with for years on this project. From the Mayor's Office of Immigrant, Migrant, and Refugee Rights Division. You see, the Chief of Staff to the Mayor was the lead sponsor in the Senate, and together we worked tirelessly to ensure that a couple of years ago we were able to finally get the state designated cultural districts passed in the state, and that's why we're going to do this here. I know I got to stop soon, and it's going to be hard because I spent too much time recognizing that we're here, so I'm going to go very quickly. Let me start by saying that growing up in Chicago, first as a state representative of the Ukrainian Village, and now as a Congresswoman of Illinois 3, representing more than 10,000 Ukrainian American constituents, I know the proud and vibrant spirit of the Ukrainian community. It is evident in the institutions and the businesses along Chicago Avenue that have served generations of our neighbors, from bakeries to bicultural financial institutions. The recognition of Ukrainian Village as a state-designated cultural district is more than a symbolic moment. It is an acknowledgement of all that Ukrainians have contributed and continue contributing to this great city. So today, we're not only honoring the families and the communities who thrive here, but we're uplifting the incredible ways that the Ukrainian community has enriched the history, the economy, and the cultural fabric of Chicago's metropolitan region. During my time as state representative, I was proud to have fought with State Senator Arsenio Zayas and many of the community leaders standing here today to realize the first cultural district designation in the nation when we passed the bill. And now, here in the Illinois 3 general area, just outside Illinois 3, that we have 3 state-designated cultural districts, including Illinois 3rd Barrio Borinquen, which is between the Puerto Rican flags on Division Street, and the Milwaukee Avenue Polish Heritage Corridor. You see, I'm excited to see how cultural districts will help transform our communities, ensuring they continue to grow and develop without fear of displacement or erasure. We also know that this designation helps the Ukrainian local economy. It supports the preservation of culture, tradition, and languages, and it promotes a stronger, vibrant connection within and across communities. And let me tell you, it has been a painful few years for the Ukrainian community. The fear of what's happening, right, to your families back in Ukraine. But the resilience that you have here, and as we talk and celebrate what this cultural district means, is so much more than a name. It is so much more than a street. It is the resilience, the strength, and the persistence of the Ukrainian community that I will continue to fight for every time I go to Congress, including the And I'll end on saying this. This evening, I get back on a flight. I don't know when I get back to Chicago. But what I know is that I'm going to be fighting to make sure that we preserve the diversity of all of our neighbors, and that includes our Ukrainian community. That we make sure that we have adequate funding and we're not cutting resources for refugees. And in a time where diversity seems to be under attack, I want to make sure that I say this loud and clear for the Ukrainian community, for the Puerto Rican community, for the Mexican community, for the Black community, and for everyone that makes up this beautiful city. We're not going anywhere. Our diversity is what makes us beautiful. It's the contributions that we fight for every day. So once again, thank you for your work, for your contributions, and for the opportunity to celebrate with you, our neighbors, as we honor the Ukrainian community here in Illinois 3. Thank you. Gracias. And with that, if you follow how government process works, you know that when you pass something in the House, it has to get to the Senate, and then in the state of Illinois, the governor signs. So let me introduce to you my state senator, who has fought and championed cultural districts his entire life and community, State Senator Omar Pino.
Good morning. Good morning. We're celebrating. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here to celebrate. We're here to celebrate the state designation cultural district that is Ukrainian Village. I wanted to step back and sort of give context to where the fight started and from where the idea germinated from. It actually was from a discussion on housing almost a decade ago. That a community group, the Puerto Rican Cultural Center with the Puerto Rican Agenda, and along with a lot of other organizations, really wanted to figure out ways of how can we fight against displacement and gentrification. There's a lot of different words to it, but basically, how do we make sure that people that have called certain communities home for a long time are able to stay in those homes if they choose to want to be there? That they are not forced out because either the rent becomes too high, because the taxes are going up, or whatever it is, and that they have to then end up fleeing their community to go somewhere else to an unknown place. Especially when these communities, some places and neighborhoods and families have built up these communities, built up to be a welcoming place for folks that have left their country, left a community, left another state, to call this place home. And so that's what the cultural district idea sort of came from. And so I was the proud initial sponsor in the Senate to sponsor the bill. And then a year later, when my then colleague, Senator Pacioni Zayas, came into the Senate, I asked her if she would lead the way, because she was actually the co-chair of the Puerto Rican Agenda. And not only did she lead the way with our non-Congresswoman Delia, they passed the bill, and now we have cultural designated districts in our state. What does that designation mean? That means that certain communities throughout the state of Illinois that are designated as cultural designated districts are able to tap into state resources. Not enough, I would say. We have to make sure that we're putting a lot more money into that pool of dollars. But they can pull resources to utilize it and how that community sees fit. Every community is different. So while Puerto Rico town or Guatemala can use it, their dollars in a certain way, that might not be the same for what the usage of Ukrainian Village might be. And so that is what the opportunity that we're talking about here, to make sure that these communities are vibrant, that these communities still have some sort of history and culture tied into it. You cannot have, the Northwest side here cannot exist without a strong Ukrainian village. And that Ukrainian village is not just a name, it's with Ukrainian people. It's with Ukrainian businesses and restaurants and so forth that call this place, and our religious institutions, that people can come back and have a home away from home. I'll leave you with this. There's the state of Illinois is a proud, welcoming place. It's a welcoming state. It was home to 4 of our presidents. Grant, Obama, land of Lincoln, and Reagan. Reagan grew up. And I want to use some words that Ronald Reagan, in his last day in office, shared a letter that he received, that he said that really embodied the love that he had for this country. And the letter, I'm going to paraphrase, essentially said that a person can go to France and not become a Frenchman. You can go to Turkey or to Germany or even Japan and not become a German or Japanese. But anyone on this earth can come and live in America and become an American. That should still hold today. That anyone can leave their home. Some flee. And in this country, we embrace. And in this country, those people too can be in America that they choose to be. Equal rights under these constitutions and in this country. That's why it's so important to hold up communities like this one, like the Ukrainian Village, that see people leaving their homes and embrace that. And this is a small way where our state gets to embrace those. I will just finish with this last thought. Has roots from a state rep from Guatemala, probably, and was signed by a governor with Ukrainian blood. That is what this goes to be. We should celebrate. Let's get happy. Let's put some smiles on our face, because this is a great day to celebrate. And with that, thank you so much. I want to pass it on to Walter Tun from the Self-Reliance Association.
I wrote this down because I knew I'd screw it up. Wow, what a great day this is. From the refugees and immigrants coming here over the decades and the World War and Ukrainian freedom fighters who came here to tell about Ukrainians' plight and oppression, to today, a day in which our community's culture is acknowledged by our state government, part of the most powerful nation and beacon of democracy that the world has ever known. Good morning. My name is Walter Tun. I'm the Executive Director at Self-Reliance Association. On behalf of our association and the community we serve, I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to Congresswoman Ramirez, Representative Jimenez, and Alderman Delia for their vision, initiative, and unwavering dedication in advancing this important program and supporting our community's request for designation. Your leadership reflects a deep understanding of the value our communities bring to the fabric of American life. We are also deeply grateful to the great state of Illinois for its continued commitment to supporting the rich diversity of ethnicities, cultures, and communities that together form the vibrant tapestry of our state. This moment underscores the essential partnership between community organizations and our local and state governments. When we work together, we create a truly welcoming environment, one where every person, regardless of where they came from, feels seen, valued, and supported. The Self-Reliance Association is honored to lead, together with our Ukrainian Village community, the blossoming of Ukrainian American culture for Chicago's Ukrainian Village. The state-designated cultural district is not only a recognition celebration of our collective journey that made us what we are, but a celebration of the shared values that define Illinois: inclusion, respect, and unity in diversity. Thank you all for your faithful support.
Good morning. Well, I forgot to introduce me, but luckily almost everyone knows me here. My name is Mariya Dmytriv-Kapeniak. I am one of the 4 applicants, co-initiators on the application for Ukrainian Village to be a state-designated cultural district. I want to take a moment just to recognize the weight of this hour, how important it is, how many people from so many generations of Ukrainians made this happen, of immigrants. It started in 1880s and continued through generations as people escaped various dictatorships, hardships, war. My own grandfather, Fyodor Kapeniak, came here in the 1950s. He contributed to this beautiful Ukrainian village we call home now. He, as many other Ukrainian immigrants back then, escaped Soviet regime. And today, his granddaughter, also elected as the first woman president of the Ukrainian Congress Committee, Illinois Division, is able to stay here. And this is very symbolic and also empowering, because at this very time, across the ocean, people are being killed, persecuted. Almost everyone in this community is affected directly, not just indirectly. Directly, we have people that we know that are dear to us that are killed and wounded. And in the meantime, as people flee and seek refuge, state of Illinois not only gives people refuge, it also serves as a beacon of hope, of moral clarity, where the rest of the world should stand at. It also offers not just a place to be, but empowers economic opportunities so people can build their lives, businesses, can contribute partly to their culture and preserve the heritage and culture that they have, as Putin as his proxy is trying to erase our cultural identity. It's hard to follow all the beautiful, wonderful speakers. Of course, they're elected to Congress and Senate, so I'm not there yet, but working on I want to thank you for your vision, for your leadership. If not for co-sponsors of this bill years ago, including your leadership, Congresswoman Ramirez, we would not be here today, we would not have this opportunity. So I want to take this opportunity to ask you to continue to lead, especially in Washington. We really need your leadership. We're proud that you're representing our community, and we're really hoping you continue to do that. And we really know that when you speak, people listen. And please do so. Please continue to keep us in mind. Please help us and the rest of right people to finish this war. And one day, and also not just that, to achieve justice, because without justice there will be no peace. We all know that, right? Without justice, another war will start a year later, so we have to bring those responsible to justice. And I really hope that one day, rather sooner than later, we're all going to invite you and many other people to commemorate the Victory Day in this very institution, in this very Ukrainian village. Thank you.
From Self-Reliance and all the great, wonderful people, and we had the chance to talk about what the needs are in the community. So I want this day to be on continuation of that. Make sure we have regular meetings and bring in the state and city partners to make those needs. Make sure that it's a reality that we bring these services to the community. We talked about legal resources. We talked about housing. We talked about all the different issues of social services, the language. We want to make sure that dual language and bilingual want to make sure that we are taking this step, a huge step forward today to make sure that we're making that happen. And so I invite all of you to be a partner in that and make sure that you continue to work with, whether it's Self-Reliance or any of the organizations here today, with whoever your organization is, to come together, because the idea is that we're not going to accomplish anything without coming together. So thank you so much for being here. This designation is a testament to the strength, culture, and history of Ukrainian Village, and to what we can accomplish when community leads the way. I'm proud to stand with you today, and I look forward to celebrating together again at the ribbon cutting later this year. I wanted to give a few moments if there's any questions for the media. I know the Congresswoman has to leave in 3 minutes, but if there's any questions from the media or from the audience, we'd love to invite any of your questions.
I do have a question. Many people ask what will their taxes go down with this.
Yeah, we are working on having pilot projects so that we can make sure that this does not create a pressure in the wrong direction on property taxes. The purpose of this bill was to really highlight that people are at the center of communities, and you're not going to have a community if you continue to displace people. So yes, we will continue to work on the issue. Currently, there's not going to be any increase because of this. That is not what we want. That's the opposite of what we want. Actually, we want to make sure that property taxes stay so nobody gets displaced